A finale does not always feel incomplete because it failed. Sometimes it feels incomplete because it told the truth. And I think that is exactly what happened with the Pitt Season 2. A lot of people finished this episode feeling like too many stories were left hanging, too many characters were left in emotional limbo, and not enough of the supporting cast got the kind of payoff they deserved. But the more I think about it, the more I believe that was completely intentional. This finale was not trying to tie pain up in a neat little bow. It was trying to show us what real damage, real pressure, and real emotional survival actually look like by the end of one brutal day. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now in this video, we're breaking down why the Pitt Season 2 finale feels unresolved, why that does not mean the writing failed, and why I actually think this was one of the most honest endings the show could have given us. Because once you really look at what the finale does with Robbie, Dr. Al-Hashimi, Langdon, and even the supporting characters who seem to get less closure, it becomes pretty clear that this episode was built around emotional truth rather than easy resolution. So let's get into it.
The first thing we need to talk about is the biggest criticism people have had with this finale, and that is the idea that the side characters were shortchanged. I've seen a lot of people say that the episode gave too much weight to Robbie and not enough to characters like Javadi, Santos, Whitaker, and others who clearly had storylines that still needed more space. And honestly, I get why that criticism exists. If you were invested in this ensemble, of course you want to walk away feeling like everybody got a meaningful finish. But here's the thing. This show may have a large cast, but emotionally, this season still revolves around Robbie. He is the one carrying the heaviest pressure. He is the one we have watched slowly erode over the course of the season. And because of that, the finale had one responsibility above everything else. It had to make Robbie's emotional turning point feel earned. If the show missed that, then the entire season would have felt weaker. So yes, the finale spends a lot of time on him, but I don't think that was at the expense of the others. I think the writers simply understood which arc had to land the hardest.
And once you connect that to the show's structure, the entire ending starts to make more sense. This story is built around one day. That matters. Because when a show traps its characters inside one intense stretch of time, it cannot suddenly pretend that years of trauma, pressure, confusion, and damage can all be resolved before the credits roll. If anything, a fully wrapped up ending would have felt fake. People do not heal that quickly. They do not make life-changing decisions with perfect clarity just because the day is ending. That is why so many of the side arcs feel unfinished. Not because they were ignored, but because the show is more interested in progression than completion. Take Javadi. She does not get some giant final moment where her future is cleanly laid out. But what we do see is a shift in how she is processing what all of this is doing.
The same goes for Santos. Her exhaustion throughout the finale feels like more than just physical burnout. The episode gives us enough to recognize that there is something darker sitting underneath the surface, but it refuses to solve that pain in one neat scene. And honestly, I respect that. Some characters are not meant to end a season better. Sometimes the most honest thing a show can do is let us sit with the fact that somebody is not okay. Whitaker also lands in that same space. His storyline does not suddenly snap into a clear answer, but the finale gives us something just as important: self-awareness. You can feel that he understands there is emotional danger in where he is headed, even if he is not fully ready to pull away from it yet. Again, not closure, but movement. And that pattern is all over this finale. Now, out of everybody, the storyline that really stood out to me was Dr. Al-Hashimi's, because I think a lot of people are discussing her arc in the wrong way. The question is not simply whether she should still be working in a high-pressure environment with her condition. The deeper question is whether the system around her is willing to support her in a fair and practical way.
That difference matters, because these situations are not impossible in real life. People with medical conditions can and do continue working in demanding professions when they have proper treatment, proper planning, and proper accommodations. And the finale makes it clear that she is not careless. She is trying to handle this responsibly. She is trying to understand what she needs, what her limits are, and how to move forward without putting anyone at risk. That is what makes her situation so painful. The fear is not only about her health, it is about what happens when other people decide they know what her future should be the moment they hear about her condition. And that is why the car scene hits so hard. It is one of those moments where the emotional reality becomes impossible to hide. This is not just someone having a hard day. This is someone realizing that ordinary things may no longer feel ordinary. Independence starts to feel fragile. Routine starts to feel uncertain. And once that happens, the question is no longer just what is wrong. The question becomes, who am I now if my own body is changing the rules on me?
Then she reaches out, and instead of getting the kind of support she needs, she is met with a response that only intensifies her fear. That moment is devastating because it reflects something real. A lot of people do not fear the condition alone. They fear how people will look at them once they know. They fear becoming a problem in other people's eyes. They fear being reduced to a limitation. That is why her storyline works even without a concrete ending. We do not leave the episode knowing exactly what her future looks like. We do not get a final answer on whether the institute...
And that is what makes Abbott's presence so powerful. He does not need some grand speech. What matters is that he grounds Robbie in human connection. He reminds him in a very direct and personal way that his life is not detached from the people around him. If he breaks, somebody else carries that pain too. That truth cuts deeper than any motivational speech could. You can feel the effect of that in the ending with Baby Jane Doe. When Robbie starts speaking softly about life still having value, still having beauty, even when it begins in hardship, it is obvious that he is not only comforting that child. He is trying to speak back to the darkest part of himself. He is reaching for belief. And what makes the moment so effective is that the show does not overplay it. It does not pretend this means he is suddenly healed.
It simply gives us the smallest possible sign that he may not be completely lost. And I think that is the entire point of this finale. The Pitt Season 2 does not end by solving everyone. It ends by shifting them. A little. Just enough to matter. Robbie is not magically okay. Dr. Al-Hashimi is not handed certainty. Langdon is not fully restored. The side characters are not suddenly free from what has been weighing on them. But they are not standing in exactly the same place either. They have moved, even if only by an inch. And sometimes that is more truthful than a big emotional payoff. So if this finale left you feeling uncomfortable, I think that reaction makes perfect sense. But I also think the discomfort is part of what makes it work. These characters are still carrying their wounds when the season ends. And in a story built around one punishing day, that may be the most honest choice possible. But anyway, that's my breakdown on why the Pitt Season 2 finale felt unresolved, and why I think that unfinished feeling is exactly what gives the episode its strength. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.